Welcome, listeners, to Radio Free South Bronx. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm one of the new guys here. My name is Jeremiah Clem. We are here live in the Coonsdale Park, home of the New York Patriots football organization, and I'm here with main man himself, Mr. Patterson. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well. Can't complain.
All right. As you know, I'm actually here. I'm just looking at a local team from like the little Bronx area, and I ran across this team, seeing that my friend Chris, he was able to set this all up. Major shout out to him. I want to thank you for taking your time out and meeting so we could talk about it.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. So let's dive right into it. Tell us how you got started, and tell me about yourself personally, growing up in the Bronx, and tell me how you got started in semi-pro football.
Well, I'm not from the Bronx, actually. I grew up
Wow.
in Princeton, New Jersey.
Okay.
My dad actually played professional football for Washington Redskins.
Okay.
I ended up going to Lafayette College, played football at Lafayette College, which is division, it was 1AA back then, now it's FCS. Yeah. And I ended up going to law school here in New York City. I got my master's in education, and I'm a New York City teacher. So one
What
of my
school you
friends,
teach?
I teach at PSMS 31, right? Literally 4 blocks in the opposite direction. And I'm a dean of students for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and I teach Regents level 7th grade and 8th grade social studies.
Okay. And how did you get into semi-pro football?
That's a good question. I saw a website, the New York Bandits, which was the Bronx team that is the most well known. I applied for a marketing position, and they were looking for people to do like sponsors and stuff like that, to go out and find sponsors and just get into the community or what have you. So I figured it was a good way to network and things like that. And I had an interest in football, so after going to a practice, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I've never heard of semi-pro football before. Growing up in New Jersey, I hadn't heard of it before. So now one of my best friends, Bill Batson, he owned the New York Bandits, and from then I joined the staff, became a defensive assistant, and just a couple years later, 2 years later, we won a championship in 2008, the EFA championship, which is nationally recognized behaviour championship. And then from there, we just had such a big roster on the Bandits that we actually started a second team, and the second team became my start in ownership of football team.
Since we're talking about ownership, tell me, what's it like being an owner? You're talking to a whole bunch of young dudes who probably have a football journey that, ended in college or ended after high school. So tell me, as an ownership, what are some of the functions that you do as an owner?
Well, as an owner of a semi-pro football team, you pretty much own the bills and pretty much nothing else. So there's not really a generation of revenue. Me and my wife, we own the team, and we actually own the Pioneer Football League as well. And we use it as our way of giving back to the community. It's not something it's a nonprofit, it's a 501c3. So we do have sponsors that raise money or what have you. But the Department of Education pays my bills, and my wife is an attorney, and her clients on the legal end pay her bills or what have you. So for us, it's just a way to give to the community, get involved in a civic activity, and keep young men and young women off the streets.
Okay, when I was looking at the website, I also see that you guys also go for a youth division. Can you please elaborate more on that?
Yes, we have a bunch of youth programs that are affiliated with us through the Pioneer Football League, all throughout the Bronx, five boroughs, North Jersey, Long Island. We've been doing different events. We've coordinated with high schools, so some PSAL high schools like Lehman High School, Truman High School are among some of the high schools that we've worked with that are affiliates of the Pioneer Football League. We actually also signed on, it's pretty funny to say, Fordham University and Columbia University are by contract PFL affiliates, which means that the Pioneer experience, so to speak, or Pioneer Football Incorporated, is really about having one database and one pool of collab that are getting the best, or getting the information and getting resources out to everybody in the community that does football or sports-related activities. Because we work with women's basketball at Fordham University, you'll see us at all types of events, regardless of the sport. If it's wrestling on the youth end or whatever it is, will be there and support it. So if you go to the Pioneer website, or if you're interested in being a Pioneer affiliate, whether you're a track team, baseball team, we had a women's soccer team that we were following for a while. It's just about, again, giving young men and young women athletic events, keeping child obesity and the obesity epidemic down, and giving them access to programs.
Are you looking into venturing into other sports? Seeing that the PFL was able to reach the heights that it do, are you looking into integrating into like football, basketball, so you could generate a larger market, or you just solely just concentrating on football based off of your childhood dream, seeing that your father played in the NFL and all that? Like, so do you see yourself like saying, you know what, let's just make this into a whole athletic league? Let's instead of just doing just football, let's do basketball.
Right. Well, yeah, the Bronx Colts and actually the Bronx Buccaneers as well have participated in a bunch of basketball-related events. Coach Free and the Bronx Colts have played basketball at Madison Square Garden, at Barclays Center. We've done a lot of dynamic, great activities with college basketball events, as well as WNBA events as well, NBA events, the New York Knicks and such. So anybody who's willing to work with us, we welcome with open arms. And it's not like we charge an admission fee or a membership fee. It's just that, hey, look, if you have a vendor that you use that gives kids an opportunity to have access to something, you put that on the table, and then you could take something off the table if you need a vendor for socks, or if you need a vendor for helmets or something like that. So again, we get tickets to Jets camp, Jets games. We'll offer that to the kids. Coach Free is absolutely awesome about Yankee tickets, since his operation is right next to Yankee Stadium, very close with the New York Yankees. So our kids, not just Bronx Colt kids, but kids throughout Pioneer, he invites with open arms to go into Yankee Stadium and watch the Yankees, or go see the Pinstripe Bowl, which is an amazing event once a year around Christmas time, where the kids run on the football field with some college football players, go through drills, and again, just celebrate everything that's great about sports.
You also said in one of my previous questions that part of your ownership is a student expense. Can you give me a rundown of like how long is the season, what they do in the off season, and stuff like that?
Well, to me, the season really never ends, and my wife will definitely attest to that. We play football 10 out of 12 months on some type of level, whether it be flag football, full contact football, little guys, big guys, or anything in between. So for the Patriots especially, which is the focus on our discussion, the Patriots is a very dynamic program that grew out of my other semi-pro teams and what have you. And for this particular product, which I'm very proud of, it was more about the experience, the football experience, which you get in college. So for us, we try to mirror what it's like to play in a Division II or Division III college. Get some travel, hop on the bus, get different events, functions, and stuff like that. So for us, we start camp April 2nd. We have a 14-game schedule. 12 of those games are in the United States. 8 of those games are on the road. Like 4 of them are in the Bronx or somewhere close. Out of those 8 games, we're in all over the New England region, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, all the way up. And then 2 games, we're actually the only team that I know of that actually plays in Canada and plays Canadian rules. So it will be in Quebec, July 28th, and then Ontario the following week, playing Canadian rules against the Niagara Regional Raiders out of the St. Catharines area by Niagara Falls. And the Quebec team is in, I can't even pronounce it, Three Rivers, Tres Rivières in Quebec, up in Quebec, Canada. The team is the Phoenix.
Okay, you said something about you guys play based off of the Canadian rules. So like, does that change like the way you guys practice due to those rules? Because I know Canadian rules like usually the backs and receivers run out the field and all the staff.
12 guys on the field, a larger neutral zone, forward motion, 3 downs, larger field. All kicks are live. There's a bunch of different rules. And again, this made the perfect team to do that with, because these guys really understand that the game of football is a thinking man's game. The old adage, the stereotypes of football players being dumb, really big, dumb jocks is really just crazy notion, because during the course of a 14-game season, we would have played NFL rules, college rules, modified rules, like a hybrid between college and pro, federation rules, and Canadian rules. So we play 5 different sets of rules at a minimum during the course of a year. So it requires the player that we're looking for, younger player, willing to listen, open ears to and understanding that the rules of the game and the history of the game is something you need to learn and understand and respect.
And for these international trips, if I may say, does that come out of any expense of the players? Because I understand that, like, traveling, even for my team, for an example, traveling to the Bronx, I mean, it came out of our fee. So do you charge for players any type of fee or restitution for these events?
We are a pay-to-play program, so all of our players do pay fees. For us, it's a lot easier because we have 53 guys that all pay an equal amount. Regardless of if you score touchdowns or hardly see the field much, you pay the same amount, which diffuses the cost. How we get it done for as cheap as we get it done, I still do not know, and a lot of people think I'm crazy for it. We charge $350, and that $350 covers 14 games, including 2 games in Canada, bus trips to 9 of the games, and hotel for 2 of the games. So as you're doing the math on that, it really doesn't add up. So, which is why my wife just rolls her eyes every time I tell her that we're taking another trip.
And so you guys are affiliated with any league, or you guys are independent as of now?
Patriots are an independent team.
Okay.
It allows us to, our focus in terms of the schedule, I made the schedule for the Patriots, it's really about the experience. And I couldn't get that out of any particular league. So when you look through and you go to the website, pioneer-league.com/NYPatriots, you'll see like the teams that we play, it's hard to see a pattern because I want them to have a sample of different types of teams. So they'll play like a local team that gives them that local rivalry that, these are the guys that I might see when I'm at work or at school or what have you, and I'll be able to talk some trash with them. But hey, I also get to go up to Portland, Maine and play the Maine Wolverines, who we played 2 consecutive years. Great bunch of guys, play in a beautiful multi-million-dollar facility. Get to have a twin lobster dinner for next to nothing, and take a road trip, a bus ride for 5-6 hours, and with some of the guys that I'll call lifelong friends. And these guys who start out as teammates end up having kids, and they're each other's godparents, and they go to each other's baby showers and christenings, and then hopefully before weddings, before the baby shower, but sometimes it's not whatever. Different life events, things happen, and they lean on each other. They have a parent that dies or something like that. They're at each other's family members' funerals and things like that. They're a great support system for one another. And those road trips is where that bonding happens. I also have junior colleges on the schedule, or college-affiliated club teams, so they get to go on a college campus and see talk to college students that are playing intramural football, guys that are on junior college teams that are trying to make their way into FCS or FBS.
Since we're on the topic of college, is there any guys in particular that you were able, through your program, you were able to send to college?
Through the Pioneer League, we've had a bunch of guys go into colleges, whether it be before or after. There are ASA, junior college, when they started out, our previous program, the New York Spartans, placed 16 kids on their roster in year 1. And from there, we've always been dedicated on putting guys in schools. SUNY Morrisville, we had a guy get accepted to SUNY Morrisville. We've had a lot of D2s, a lot of D3s. Do we have any D1s offhand? I'm thinking no, not this year. We have had guys that have gone through the Pioneer League that have ended up playing overseas professional football. We have one young man that ended up playing one young man that ended up playing professional football in Barcelona, and another one that ended up playing somewhere in Eastern Europe or something like that. But again, just a guy getting paid to play football and seeing the world, pretty amazing experience.
Did you ever have that opportunity yourself to travel the world? And because the opportunity that you're giving these young men is great. So my question is, Were you able to have that yourself, or after college you kind of knew, like, my career is around?
Well, I got hurt in college. I had 2 herniated discs, so I was unable to take it to the next level. Anyhow, my passion, especially as a social studies teacher, I teach American history. So my passion for travel is more in the United States more than worldwide scope. So although I do travel outside the United States, especially Canada, although Canada is closer than a lot of spots in the United States. Again, my son, who is 5 years old, he's been to 27 different states and 2 Canadian provinces. So I do a lot of traveling. I have a passion for travel, especially across this great country, and I like to take people with me. And if I can see a football game and play a football game in the course of it, it's a bonus. So I'm not sure if my hobby is football or my hobby is traveling. But the two, when they mix up with each other, it's actually a pretty cool experience.
All right, I have a final question for you. My final question is for you. Is obviously you guys, I'm pretty sure you heard of Tri-Borough Football League and all those other leagues.
I had a team in the Tri-Borough Football League.
Yeah.
I still support the Tri-Borough Football League.
Okay.
And one of my former players, who also coaches one of my teams, is the commissioner of the Tri-Borough Football League.
Oh, that's pretty dope. My question is, what, in your opinion, makes your league, the Pioneer Football League, different than the Tri-Borough?
They're two separate entities, and they serve two separate purposes. The champion of the Tri-Borough Football League is a former Pioneer program. The teams that populated the Tri-Borough Football League since its inception, some of their top programs, both on and off the field, have been Pioneer programs. So for us, it was about getting those programs an opportunity to have some success and compete against like-minded programs and similarly situated programs, whereas in the MLF, or if you go what used to be the 5-star, or you go to some of these other called AAA level leagues where you're at the top echelon of competition, if you're playing teams that if you make a mistake, it's going to be a fatal mistake. If you make a mistake, the other team is taking it to the house and they're going to embarrass you pretty bad. Not many teams, especially, I hate to say it, but this new generation is a instant gratification generation. They don't like to go through struggle. They don't like to go through tough times. Their heroes go to teams that are loaded teams, and that's what they want to do. So instead of sticking with their particular team and going through a 1-win season or a 2-win season, they want to go to the team that's winning already. So what the Pioneer did was, hey, all these programs that if they were to go into those AAA leagues, they would be, they'd have to go through some 50-something to nothing losses, and they wouldn't be able to grow. So it's kind of like an incubator of football teams. And between the Patriots and the Pharaohs and the Bobcats, some of the other teams that gone through the Pioneer League, the Colts, we often refer, like other teams, especially love to refer to us as the daycare. We're the daycare of football, and the kids in the daycare, they got some rings behind them. And it's growing every single year.
So let's talk about briefly this upcoming season. Obviously, you guys started off hot. One of your first 3 games, I believe.
4 games.
First 4 games. Yeah. And I believe you guys had a game this past weekend. How did that go?
It was an absolute disaster. We had one of the things that happens when you travel 5,000 miles is that you occasionally have an issue. Our issue this week was the bus. So although we ended up going to the bus at 10 a.m. for a 4 p.m. kickoff in Bennington, Vermont, the bus ended up breaking down literally in the area. Our backup bus had a failure. The backup to the backup bus was in Staten Island and couldn't get over. So by the time we actually left the Bronx, it was too late because the field didn't have lights. So our game this week was actually canceled. In semi-pro football in general, you end up having cancellations or postponements or what have you, and our schedule moves around a little bit. That's why year to year, if we have a team, again, freak things happen, and that's what it is. But in leagues, if you have a team that folds or a team that just the players quit because of just not wanting to go through struggle, you go through these type of frustrations and what have you. The benefit for us is for every game that's canceled or taken off the schedule, the team our teams are pretty reliable and we have a good relationship with them, so we don't have a lot of cancellations or teams that postpone on us. Thank heaven. But if we do run into that situation, we can just reschedule something on the back end and make it up to our guys, which is something that you can't do in a league.
Yeah. So finally, when's your next game?
We are Saturday right here at McCombs Dam Park at 6:30 p.m. against the Boston Panthers.
Okay.
Should be a good test. They have size. They are young and they have size. It looks like we have a little bit of speed on them, but again, there's something you can see in the film, but until you see the team, in real life, it's always hard to tell. That's the other real challenge for us, is that a lot of the teams that we face we haven't seen before, and some of the teams, like the junior college teams, whatever, they have a high turnover in roster. So when we see them, we're usually seeing them for the first time, either in the history of the program or for that particular season. So that we get whatever film we can and adjust the best that we can. But again, during games, and we're talking about what we see in the first quarter, we're constantly making adjustments based on what we're seeing, because it's not a team that you play twice a year like you would in the NFL, or a team that you see every single year like you do in college football.
Let's say if I'm a young man in the Bronx trying to revive his football career, where can we follow you guys?
You can find us here at McCombs Dam Park every Monday and Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Those are our practice times. If you like to play in Canada, you need either a passport or an enhanced driver's license. Or if you're military, we love our military. Our military guys with a military ID can cross the border with no issues. So yeah, it's definitely not your typical semi-pro problems having to get your guys' passports and go through border crossings.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it be. Do you guys have any social media? We live in an age of social media.
Absolutely. We are on Instagram and we are on Facebook under Pioneer League. All the links are on our website, pioneer-league.com. You'll see on the left side all of our links to all of our social media are on there. We have weekly highlights. We have you can check out all of our film on our YouTube channel.
Okay.
We do a lot of filming. We have an awesome staff. That's one of the things that's really a benefit for us, is that, as you can see right now, I'm spending some time in the bleachers with you, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we're missing a couple people, but I have 4 coaches, and I actually have 2 general managers that are missing. A general manager on the side, and everything is still running the way that it's supposed to. And not many, like when you have the team, especially in semi-pro, with the one guy doing it all, and he's juggling this and that or whatever. Here, you're going to get coached. You're going to get better. We try to get everybody on the field. It's not youth football where everybody has a certain amount of plays. But if I'm taking you 6 hours to play, I'm telling my coaches, you better put this kid into shape to get on this football field.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for having us. Thank you for your time. And it's been a pleasure, sit down and talking to you. The pleasure's been good. And that's how you have it, folks. You're listening to Radio Free South Bronx. My name is Jeremiah Claremont, along with David Patterson, signing out.